get started. My name is Sarah Martinez. My novel, Sex and Death in the American Novel, is coming out in September from Book Trope. A large part of the novel deals with sex as a metaphor for the pleasures of reading, but what I want to talk about today is another aspect of the novel, and that's grief. Since I'm doing writing to overcome life's obstacles, that's the topic of my talk, my biggest obstacle actually was fear. How many people in the audience actually want to write or do write? Okay, so the authors that I love, the people that really, really do it for me are the ones that are fearless, that talk about sex, they talk about people dying, they talk about the things that they're afraid of, all of those things, and they do it raw. They use bad words, they do all of that stuff. That's the kind of writer that I wanted to be, and I can't be that kind of writer if I'm worried about somebody over my shoulder judging everything I do. My mother, my dead grandmother, my dead father, whomever. And the biggest fear that I had, and still have actually, what's happening with me right now is that I'm going into this promotional phase with the book, right? The book's just about to come out. And I'm having people tape me so I can go on YouTube. I'm trying to dress up so I can look pretty for all of you guys. But the most important thing is always going to be what's on the page, right? And that's where I have to face being afraid. Nobody's crying. This is good. I'm a little worried about that one, but I guess it's good. If people cry, right? It means that what you're doing worked. Does anybody have any questions yet? Any comments? Okay, this is the last little fun piece, and then I had a couple ideas for writing exercises if people, actually wanted those. Really good ways to kind of get started, but if there's only one person, I could just give you those at the end and let everybody else go. This one's called Jiggle. Okay, I've read this piece a few times now, and most of the time it's funny, but when I wrote this, there were parts that were really scary and embarrassing to put down on paper. And I wouldn't have thought that I would read to a crowd at something like this huge crowd that we have here. What strikes me here is that what is scary about this piece, the embarrassing parts, are the same things that seem to have resonated with audiences in the past. Something to remember where, by getting to the core of what I'm afraid to admit or afraid to talk about, I am able to connect with others. And I hope you like this as well. I was at Jean Juarez recently, waiting for my turn with a woman who would pull out half my eyebrows and tweeze them until they arched just right. After that, I would meet another woman who would cut and fluff my hair into something that for a few hours would resemble the hair on the models in the magazines I had to sift through because I forgot my book. Somewhere in the middle of one of the larger ones, possibly Vogue, I read about a model who is considered the large one. Along with other important information about this woman, like her age and where she is from, they list her height and weight. She is almost a foot taller than I am and weighs 10 pounds less than I do. She is younger than I am, much younger, and much taller. Still, I can't help but compare myself. I have two options here. I can close the magazine telling myself that this is why my time would have been better spent reading DeLillo, or I can indulge this creepy fascination. I can't help myself. I read on. Women aren't supposed to jiggle. A glance through any fashion magazine, tabloid, or celebrity rag will tell you this. The last time I looked like most of these women, I was 13 years old. That was many years ago, before the husband and 2 children. Several nights later, the lower half of my belly tightens into soreness as I twist around, reaching for a spoon. I say to my husband, if I keep working this, and I pat the spot below my belly button, I can be nice and flat. I spoon Rice Krispies into the open mouth of my youngest and say, you made me jiggle, you stretched me out. She grins, no concept of what I'm referring to. Her little belly at present looks remarkably like she herself is pregnant. It juts out round and full, and to tickle her there rewards me with peals of infectious laughter. Despite what you might read in People, Shape, Cosmo, or Vogue, to jiggle is not a bad thing. I jiggle all the time when I laugh. Belly laughs, whole body reactions to my children's deep-throated chortles and hysterical shrieks. They're addictive, and I'll do anything to keep them giggling, snorting, and squirming with delight. My oldest said, "Ew," one night when she saw my naked breasts. It hurt me, though I tried to pretend otherwise, cover up my embarrassment, and explain to her the importance of keeping certain thoughts to ourselves, remembering my own horror the first time I saw my mother's naked body, wondering what all those extra parts were for. Foreign, weird-looking parts whose uses and reasons for existence I couldn't comprehend and did not want to. Thankfully, the interactions I have with members of my family balance each other out. For every sad moment, a good one is sure to follow or stands out in memory. My husband, when questioned by a worrisome aunt the day after my second daughter was born, when the milk hadn't yet let down, said in his lyrical native language something that translates to, "Oh no, don't worry, she's like a Holstein cow." There was confidence and pride in his voice. I never felt so cherished as I did then. Lately, I've been struggling with envy for these writers who have no spouse, no children, believing if I had the carefree life of the single person, I'd be happier and more productive, less stressed out trying to balance family life and writing, revision, sending work out and keeping track of responses, maintaining the website, blogging, attending conferences and planning events, networking with other writers and all the rest of it. There would be no more guilt, no more judgments about how I spend my time. But then I wonder, who would make me jiggle? I went over, I'm done. So if you want me to go more, I have one more piece. Otherwise, if there are questions or nothing, I can let you guys go. What would you like? Or I can dance. Is anybody going after me? No? Yeah.
How long have you been? When did you start getting published?
Oh God, so the first thing I published was a year and a half ago in a literary journal called Line Zero. And this is my first novel that will be published in September.
How many hours a day?
That varies. Work now is all sorts of things. It used to just be writing, but now it's writing and answering emails, answering interview questions, trying to plan a book launch, you know, all the little different details. When my life is beautiful, like perfect, I'm going to bed at about 9 o'clock every night, and that's after about an hour of reading. Reading is really important too. I don't hear that enough from people, but really that's part of the work, or part of what needs to happen, right, is reading. But writing, if I'm writing from 4:30 to 7 o'clock or 5 to 7 every morning, I feel like I'm doing what I need to be doing. There's a book that I recommend to every single writer on the planet. It's called The Writer's Portable Mentor by Priscilla Long. It's the best book ever. And what she talks about is 15 minutes a day, which just sounds really lame, right? Because I want to go, I'm gonna write my opus, and I'm gonna do, 3 or 5 hours. In November, I write a novel. Every November is something called National Novel Writing Month, and everybody sits down and just works for hours and hours and gets, 50,000 words out. But that is not sustainable all the time. And as soon as things get crazy, like they have for me, the habit sometimes drops off, or if I'm not in the middle of a project. So 15 minutes a day at least keeps me working. But really the mornings, especially with kids, man, you gotta do it without them around, because it just gets crazy. So getting up early is a really, really important habit. And most of the writers that I really respect are early morning people. Not that you can't write at other times of the day, but it seems like the people that are the most productive that I want to be like right early in the morning. So, thank you guys for your great attention and smiles and